What's going on, trappers? Welcome back to J-Will Trap TV. If you're like K9 and you're betting on this channel, make sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, and put a notification bell so you know when I go live or make a new video. I wouldn't want you to get dropped over a like. Let's go. Yo guys, what is going on? Welcome back to J-Will Trap TV. We are back. We are covering BMF Season 2, Episode 5, and this episode is called Moment of Truth. Hey, it's the moment of truth, guys. As you guys know, we are now in ATL, and we're about to see what's going down with Meech and Terry in ATL. Can we reestablish ourselves? Let's go. So we start this episode off. Good times, the family singing together, everybody singing together, kids in the back, they was fighting, but then Lucille puts on the music, we start singing together, and it looks like Charles and Lucille, they are having a good time. They are back. This is when the kids are kids. This is when the kids are younger, and it looks like, you know, they're at a better point at their marriage. We then switch to the future where we see Meech and Terry listening to the same song, and Meech remarks they haven't heard that song since kids. It looks like they are on the road together to ATL. We now switch to the police precinct, and we see that Brian and Jen, they are still pressuring Denise. They are trying to get her. They are letting her know, hey, we caught you with 3 keys. They're saying you're gonna go in for big time unless you cooperate with us and help us take down Meech and Terry. At this point, we see Mo come in. Mo comes in, she says she's a paralegal. She says that she is representing Denise, and she kicks the cops out the room. Mo then tells Denise that, hey, if you work with Meech and Terry, if you keep your mouth shut, that he will take care of your family, he will take care of your kids, he will send your son to college. Denise starts to mull this over. We now switch back to Meech. Meech is pulling up on James. Remember, this is Meech's cousin. He's pulling up on this guy in Cleveland, it looks like, and he's giving him a beat down because remember this guy, he said that his drugs got stolen, but then Meech sent Roland out to Cleveland, and we found out that guy bought a new car and he's out here flossing. So Meech pulls up, gives him the beat down, and he takes his Mercedes. Now, Terry's over here looking on and he's saying like, hey, Meech, calm down. And I'm not sure if he's saying calm down because he's giving the beat down to the family member or because Meech is kind of bleeding from that gunshot wound in his shoulder area. It remains to be seen, but Meech beat this dude down and took the car back. Let's go. We then switch to the Flannery house and we come out on the scene where we have Lucille, Charles, and Nikki. And Lucille, she's talking to Charles. She's saying, hey, are you sure you don't want to go on this retreat? She's packing her bags up. And Charles, he says the family's in shambles, that he can't think about going on a retreat right now. That's not what he wants to do. Lucille presses him and says that this is exactly what they need. They need to get closer with the Lord. But Charles says nope, and he kind of just walks off. He's not interested. Lucille, she then looks for Charles's case. She starts looking around for his case, and she goes inside the case looking for those pornos, and the porn is not there. It looks like Charles moved the porn to somewhere else, took the pastor's advice. We now switch back to Meech and Terry. They're driving. It looks like Meech has sold James's car for $15K. So they're rolling with $15K. That is the number. Remember this number, guys, because we're dealing with math here in this episode, okay? So we got $15K, and he starts throwing Terry's books out the window, and he tells Terry that he needs to get focused, forget about this school stuff, that he's worried about Denise not taking this deal, and this is kind of just a scene of worry and saying they gotta be focused while they're here in ATL. We switch to Lamar, and it looks like Lamar's making his way around the D. He's checking in with the local gangsters, letting them know they need to pay their tribute. He's taking money from them, he's taking their chains, and he's just kind of letting folks know that Meech and Terry are gone and he is the one running shit. Switch back to ATL, we have Meech and Terry meeting with Earl. Earl, he's that big dude from the first episode of the season. He was in Las Vegas, now he's meeting with Meech and Terry. Meech immediately goes in, says he needs a loan. He says, hey Meech, I can't give you a loan and I can't be waiting for my money to come back while you're getting your operation going again. So at this point, you know, Meech is like, well, hey man, I'm down bad. I came out here, I put myself on the line. And then Earl tells him that there is this guy named Pint who can turn 1 into 2. So basically he can, you know, flip 1 bird into 2 birds, but kind of a myth thing. Terry doesn't believe in this, and Terry, he asks for a dice game. He says, you know, where can I go gamble? So Earl says, hey, if you want to do some gambling, I can get you into some action there. And then we end the scene. We switch back to church, back in Detroit, and we see Charles dropping off Lucille and Nikki for the retreat. There's a moment where Miss Riley approaches Charles and she tells him about some new songs, some new music that she wants him to look at. And at this point, Lucille catches on to this and she gives Charles some extra attention. She comes up and gives him a kiss. And Charles, he finishes that kiss and he kind of looks on, and then Lucille kind of catches this vibe between them, and you can tell there's some tension there. She's not liking how these dudes are connecting eye contact. We're now back in ATL. We come in on a strip club, and Meech is excited about the strip club because it looks like the women out here are able to be fully naked, and he's enjoying the show. Terry's telling Meech that he needs to stay focused, and Meech tells him that, hey man, you need to let your balls hang a little bit, you know, kind of relax a little bit. You know, you're too uptight on the family thing, right? So then they start talking about their women a little bit, and they almost get to the point where it's revealed, where Terry reveals to Meech that he's dating Markeisha, but they don't go there. They don't get all the way there, because Earl comes in and brings them back to the back gambling room. When we get into this back gambling room, we get to meet Goldie, who is played by Monique, Oscar winner, yes ma'am. So yes, she's here, she's doing her thing. She has this scene where she kicks this dude out because he won't leave. He's just being a little too rambunctious, a little disrespectful, pops him on the side of the face with a bottle, and then tells those guys to pick him up and get him out. At this point, she meets Meech, and he, of course, tries to hit her with the flattery, and she's not really into it. They get into a gambling game, and as we get into this gambling game, it's immediately clear through little signals that the goons make that they're gonna rig this game. They switch the dice out. Terry throws, and he loses immediately, loses 7,500. So at this point, Meech is pissed because they just lost half of that 15K they got on this game here. And I'm looking at Earl like, dang, Earl, did you bring our boys in here? You knew they was gonna kind of do this, hit them like this. So Detroit guys, they get out of there. Meech and Terry are just like, yo, we got to get out of here. We just lost 7,500, just lost half the money we made. Earl sits over there with Goldie, and Goldie's just like, oh, these little Detroit boys thought that they can come through here and make a bunch of money. Nah, that's not how it's gonna go. So, okay, we just lost half the money. Let's go. So now we come in on Charles. He's at Mabel's house, and he's working on her cabinets. Why Charles always over here fixing up her house and not fixing up ours? We still got holes in the wall from when he tried to punch Terry. Well, he didn't try, but when he punched in Terry's direction. So Miss Mabel is saying they've been very nice and neighborly since she moved in after she got her divorce. So Miss Mabel, okay, so she's the divorced woman. Okay, she's divorced. Okay. She says that she's gonna have some people over, and she wants Charles to come over because he didn't know how to dance and put on those moves. Charles, he kind of he says, oh, I gotta go. He starts to leave, and he goes like he'll think about coming over, but he's gonna call it a day. He seems like he's a little uncomfortable by her continued advances on him, but he kind of leaves. As he's leaving, she looks at him and she looks him up and down like, oh, she wants some of him. So she's attracted for sure. We're gonna see what happens. We switch back to Brian and Jen at the precinct, and his son Kevin comes in. His son Kevin walks in with no shoes, and Brian's like, what the hell, what happened? Did someone take your shoes? Did someone take your Nikes? Kevin says yes, they bullied him out of his shoes, and Brian asks if he's defending himself. Kevin says that he isn't, and Brian says, okay, well look, I'm about to get you into some jiu-jitsu classes, about to teach you some karate, about to do something, because you gotta fight, you gotta defend yourself. And Kevin says, hey man, stop trying to make me into you. I'm not you, I don't wanna do that. So then Brian says, okay, cool, well, I'm about to go up to this school and talk to this principal and figure out what's going on because you can't be coming home with no shoes. And the boy says that he doesn't want him to do that. Now look, Brian has to get in here and do something. He cannot just let his kid come home with no shoes like that. Like, that's crazy. Brian definitely needs to get in there, but the kid definitely doesn't want him to do it, but Brian looks like he's gonna do it anyway. So now we switch and we got Lamar and Al at a diner. It looks like Lamar, he's all chained up, so he's been collecting a lot of change from the hood, letting folks know that he's running stuff. It looks like even the diner's kind of paying tribute, providing free food for him, and Al's in here, he's making a bunch of jokes, and we even see someone come in to pay tribute right there in front of us. He gives money to Lamar. Lamar lets us know that he's still not satisfied. He's still looking for his queen. So this is alluding to Mo, and it looks like he's gonna go and talk to her about something eventually. So we switch to Meech and Terry strategizing, and Terry doesn't like how things are going. They've lost a bunch of money. He doesn't know what we're doing in ATL. They don't have a way forward. Meech talks about pints again. He says that there's definitely a way forward there. He says they have to believe in themselves. He says that God is behind them, and that if they don't believe in things, that they won't turn out the way that they need them to. So he really kind of boosts Terry's confidence here, and Terry starts to kind of feed back in and listen to Meech, and then we see Meech making a phone call for their next move. We switch to Bryant at Kevin's school, and Bryant, he's here trying to convince the principal that these kids are bullying his son. He says Marcus Lloyd is harassing his son, taking his shoes, messing around with his comic books, and that he wants this to stop. The principal looks at Kevin and asks him if this is true, and Kevin will not snitch on this dude Marcus. We also see Marcus walk up, and he makes eye contact with Bryant and Kevin, and it's clear that Kevin's just really scared, doesn't want to give these guys up. So principal says, hey, I can't do anything if Kevin doesn't tell, and we just see kind of Bryant look at Marcus, and we know this isn't over. We switch back to Meech and Terry in ATL, and it looks like he's meeting up with his cousin Ty after a football game in Atlanta. So they're talking together, and eventually Ty says, hey, meet me at my house tomorrow so we can talk business. At this point, Meech gets a phone call from Monique. Monique lets him know that Denise is gonna play ball, that she's gonna stay quiet, but that she's looking for some money fast. Meech understands the situation, and we end the scene. We switch back to the police precinct, and the cops are meeting in their task force. It turns out They now know that Denise has met with the DA, and instead of going down for 3 keys, she's going down for 650 grams. So she's going to take that charge, which pretty much ends their case against Meech and Terry in that situation. The leader of the task force, she's not having this. She's saying they've wasted a bunch of time going after Meech and Terry and nothing's coming out of it. She wants to kind of switch directions and go a different way. At this point, they decide that they're going to go after K9. They bring up K9 and they start zooming in on K9. We then switch scenes and we go to Bryant and Veronica Jen talking. Jen is upset that they could not land Meech and Terry, and Brian says just add it to the next list of things. At this point, Brian zooms in, she says, hey, I need you focused on what's going on. I need you focused on our work. And if you're having trouble with your kid, then that's gonna get in the way. You can't be watching my back while you're doing that. Brian gets pissed and he says, yo, are you watching me? Are you spying on me and my kid? And Veronica says, no, she just needs some focus. And then she gets into a story about why she became a cop. It turns out that her sister was beat to death by a domestic abuser. She was killed. There was a bunch of witnesses and no one helped her. And this is why she became a cop. So she tells him to take some time off, get focused, and to come back, once his head is clear. We then switch to Lamar. He goes to visit Mo. She pops out with the pistol. Hey, Cash Doll, she ain't playing. Cash Doll, she is not playing. So she comes out, and Lamar does some of the same stuff from last season. You gotta watch the scene, not gonna get too much into it, but he basically says that he still loves Mo, that he wants to be a family. He brings up Zoe. Mo says that Zoe is scared of him and that she's gone, she's with her mom. Lamar says that he needs to bring her back home. And he even says that, Meech hurt him bad, shows her the poop bag. Really gross stuff. And the thing I don't like about this scene is it looks like Mo is still thinking it seems like, and I swear to God, there's still a chance between these people. She keep falling for Lamar in this crap every time he comes to the door and be doing this crap. So she doesn't fall for it completely yet. She closes the door on him, but I do like how they're bringing a lot of layers and dimension into Lamar's character because he's not just like this crazy killer. He does want this kind of love with Mo. But this fool is crazy. So now we switch to Bryant and B. Mickey. And Bryant, he's coming in, he's recruiting B. Mickey for something. B. Mickey's saying Meech is out of town. He has no information. He doesn't know what's going on. The business is pretty much stopped. Bryant says he's not here for that, and we can tell that he is recruiting B. Mickey to go after Marcus Lloyd. We then switch to Ty's house, and we have Meech come in here, we have Terry come in here, and we meet Ty, and we see that there's this other guy cooking. His name is Carl. So I'm not gonna talk too much about Carl, but keep an eye on Carl. Meech gets into his situation, says they're down bad, they just lost half of their money. He asks Ty about Pint, and Ty gets really weird about Pint, asks Meech how he heard about Pint. Meech says, he's just a hustler, this is the things he's heard around the way, and he's saying he needs a front, and Ty's like, I can't really give you a front, but once you get your money back, I can help you get some weight. Ty tells Meech that once he has some cash, he can help them find Pint, and he also advises them to stop gambling. We switch to Charles, and he has made it to Mabel's house. Mabel's having a party. There's a lot of people over here, older folks, and they all dancing and having a good time. Mabel, she is in this little black cat suit looking, as good as an older woman like her can look, They dance for a bit, and they're dancing, Charles is putting those same moves on her, but now he's just a little bit closer, making a little bit of contact on Miss Mabel. She offers him a drink, and Charles says that he's really never drank before. At this point, another woman comes up and she feels up on Charles, in the buttocks area, and Charles, is kind of a little off guard, and so then Mabel says, okay, let's go outside and get Charles some air, and they end the scene. I can't tell if Charles is taking that drink. I think he may have put it down. I don't know, I can't tell, we'll see. We switch to Lucille, and they are back from the retreat. Lucille, she sends Nikki off to the side, and she walks up to Miss Riley, and she confronts her about Charles. She asks Miss Riley if she is sleeping with Charles, and Miss Riley is totally caught off guard. She says, no, there's nothing going on with her and Charles. Lucille presses on. She says, oh no, I see the way you guys look at each other. I see that you're trying to share your music with him. What's going on? And she says, no, there's nothing going on between me and Charles. Lucille keeps going. She says, okay, I see, you coming into the church, you be kind of showing yourself off, you little promiscuous for all the men around here. And then Miss Riley says, no, Miss Lucille, there's nothing going on with me and Charles. I have made some mistakes in the past, but no, now I'm a good going church woman, and I'm not trying to do nothing, So, man, I feel this is so embarrassing for Miss Riley. Oh my gosh, she's so embarrassed with her coming. But she looked her in the eye. She didn't get mad. She didn't turn up on Lucille. And Lucille finally whispers that she's sorry. And I'm sure this is embarrassing for Lucille too, to have to come up and confront that woman like that. We then switch to Miss Goldie back in ATL. She is leaving the gambling spot. She's leaving, I think her security or maybe another driver, he's leaving as well. He asks Miss Goldie, hey, I'm gonna wait for you to go, make sure everything is safe. And Goldie says, no, I'm good, don't worry, I can defend myself if anything happens. So that guy, he takes off. And at this point, Meech and Terry, they confront her, they press her, and they say, hey, we need to win our money back that we lost. And Miss Goldie's like, hey, look, I don't got no money. But then they say, we know you don't got no money on you, but we need to win this money back. We know that game was rigged, and we'll make sure you're taken care of as well. We just need to make sure that we get our money back. So then Goldie says, okay, she does know of a game that's being run by a dude named Mike, but that is a dangerous game, and that this dude, he's not gonna want to be fucked around with. So then we switch scenes. So now we switch back to Charles and Mabel. He's a little tipsy, and it looks like he's taking her up to her bedroom or something, or everyone has left at this point. I don't know. He says that he hasn't had a night like this in a long time, and he had a great time. She's like, you deserve to have these nights, Charles. You deserve this shit. She's saying that he can have it every now and then, and that he can treat himself. So Charles is like, all right, well, cool, time to go, peace. And she's like, wait, you don't gotta rush out. And then she comes on to him. Charles starts to kiss her, she starts to kiss him. And then next thing you know, you see this fool Charles bend her over, bro. And Charles, he goes Monday Night Raw on this girl. I'm like, damn, this fool Charles, he coming in, digging her out. I'm like, okay, cool. So it happened. Now, if you guys remember, guys, last week I asked, what you guys think Charles is gonna cheat? And we had Tay the Plug, one of our original subscribers. She commented and she said Lucille was gonna cheat first, but looks like Charles came in and cheated. Oh my God! So look, there it is, guys. There it is. Charles has finally cheated. It is out there. Charles cheated. Oh my God, he did it. We thought he was gonna do it. We thought he was gonna be able to hold it in and not do it, but he did it. So Charles, after he's done, this fool, he's out of there. He's gone. And then Miss Mabel, she's up on the wall, savor in the moment. Oh man, let's switch scenes. So we switch back to Mike's gambling game, and it looks like Goldie is bringing in Meech and Terry separately. So Meech and Terry, they come in separately, they get introduced. Mike says, hey, are you vouching for this guy? And she says, yes, this is her, she's here, Goldie's here. So the game starts, and Terry and Meech, they are betting on each other, right? And they are winning, they're making a killing, they're winning all the money. We hear Terry doing that Southwest T, As they keep winning, Mike starts to get sweaty, he's not liking what's going on. He stops the game, he talks to Terry, and he says, hey, you two are betting on each other, and he's right. And he takes Terry's dice, and we find out those dice are actually loaded. He gives him a new set of dice, and he says, hey man, if you don't keep winning like that, both of you guys are gonna get killed right now. So Terry finally rolls, a 7. He rolls a 7, wins the game for us, and he gets us out of this. Goldie goes up to Mike and says, hey man, don't you ever come at me like that, don't you ever flex on me like that, I'm the real deal. And they win the money and we end the game, they get paid. We switch back to Charles. He's at home and he is having happy thoughts thinking about his little time with Mabel. And then boom, Licky and Lucille come in. So Charles, he's trying to clean himself up a little bit. I think he may have a little bit of alcohol in his breath. She might have a little bit of scent on his body. I'm not sure. Let's see what happens. Nikki comes in, she greets him. She doesn't notice anything. She says the camp sucked. But she notices nothing, doesn't say he smells anything, doesn't compliment the way he smells. Then we have Lucille come up, and Lucille comes in, she gives him a hug, doesn't say anything, doesn't notice anything. She says, hey, I noticed things been bad. I haven't been giving you that attention. I want to get our vibe back. I want to get our rhythm back. Let's go. And then Charles is a little shocked. He's over here looking a little shocked. He's like, man, because, he's like, whoa, this is kind of a 180 a little bit. And then, also too, he just, finished with Miss Mabel. So he says it's been a long day, and it looks like Lucille's ready to go right now, but Charles kind of brushes that off, gets away, because he still might have a little bit of Mabel residue under the waist, you know what I'm saying? So Charles gets out of there and we end the scene. We switch back to Meech and Terry. They're coming back to Ty's house. They have money in tow from the gambling game, and they're coming in with the money, and Ty has the weight on the table. Now, Meech and T, they're not very satisfied with the amount of weight, but Ty says it's a drought, and they gotta be happy. This is what they can provide at this time. Says take it or leave it. At this point, Meech and Terry, they're like, hold on, okay, whatever, that's fine. But we would like to purchase, your whipping method, because they seen, Carl back there whipping up the crack. They also deduced that Carl is pint. And I guess it's true. Carl stands up, he says he is pint. But he says that he doesn't really share his methods with anyone because, he becomes less special if he teaches other people how he cooks. Meech says they're from the D, so there's no competition. If he teaches them that no one else will learn, they'll keep it a secret. At this point, Pyatt agrees to help. He thinks they're real hustlers the way they got Mike, and then next thing you know, they get rapping. Pyatt tells him that he's gonna help, but that he's gonna need another bird for them to get started. At this point, even though they're out of money, Meech convinces T to give up his car so they can learn the new technique. We switch back to Lucille and Charles, and they are having some intimate sex, and I don't like watching old people have sex, so I'll just throw my little reaction up here so you guys can see how freaked out I was. We switch back to Meech and Terry, and Carl's showing them his whipping technique. And basically, guys, what this is gonna do is it's gonna allow them to kind of step on their coke, but still keep the value up, without them losing so much product. So they learned this technique, and this technique is gonna make them a lot of money. We switch to B-Mick. B-Mick is confronting Marcus Lloyd and his friends. B-Mick beats them up, and he tells them to leave Kevin alone. So Bryant sent B-Mick to attack some high schoolers. Hopefully they can use that against Bryant later on in the season. We switch back to Ty's house. Everything is good. Carl and Ty, they're playing video games. Meech and Terry, they're talking about how, their fortunes have gotten a lot better. Terry's thanking Meech for boosting up his confidence, letting him know that everything was gonna be all right. And then Meech says, it sounds like you're back in BMF now. And Terry says he never left, that he just took a step back. And then we get a monologue from older Terry saying that, being in BMF is what Terry always wanted. This is kind of where he wants to be. So now we got Terry back in the game, baby, let's go. We then switch to the Flannery house, and it looks like Lucille and Nikki are at home. Lucille is cooking in the kitchen, washing dishes, etc. And we get a bang on the door, and I'm like, God damn it. This is not a good bang, So she tries to get Nikki to go to the door, but then Nikki doesn't go. Lucille answers the door, and it's Lamar. And, oh God, it's Lamar. So Lamar, he immediately asks Lucille if she is Meech and Terry's mother, and we see that Lamar, he is armed, and it's not looking good for Lucille. We see Nikki come down the stairs and she sees Lamar. Remember, she knows who Lamar is. So we end the scene there. We switch to Terry and Meech, and they're, happy. They just got their weight. They're loading their weight up into the trunk, and they get a call from Nikki, and Nikki lets them know that Lamar's there. This makes them move a lot faster because they're worried about their mother's life. We switch back to Lucille, and Lucille is maybe trying to pull a knife out of her pocket, but she's talking to Lamar, and Lamar is saying that, Meech and Terry hurt him really bad, and Lucille grabs him by the hand, and she starts praying, and she starts saying that, violence is bad, the Lord doesn't want anyone to exactly on revenge, that's for the Lord to do, and she prays for Lamar, and Lamar is actually listening, and this is what I'm saying, these layers to his character. He's not just like this crazy monster. He listens to what she says, and it looks like he is not gonna kill her at this time. He leaves the house, and there's no violence. At this point, we get a message from older Terry who tells us that, hey, in this life can affect your family. Sometimes your family has to be ready to go. So that's the end of that episode. And that was a good setup episode. This episode wasn't as momentous as the last episode, right? But I think we're kind of setting up things here in ATL. I wish we kind of seen more of Monique, Goldie and her situation. Is that just a kind of one-time gambling game? Is she going to be involved going forward? It looks like Meech and Terry have a more established connect now. I would say probably a better connect than K9, right? I guess K9's closer, but now that they have this new technique for distributing their stuff, mixing it up and stepping on it, hopefully that makes it so they can rely less on K9. We also see the cops are going to be focusing on K9 next episode. So K9 is going to need Meech's help once those cops start coming in, especially once he finds out it's Bryant, who's the same guy who's investigating Meech. So we'll see what that happens there. Mo, nothing much on Mo. Denise is going to stay quiet, so that's all resolved. What else do we got, guys? What else do we got? Hey guys, remember, thank you again, Tay the plug again. Thank you again for, commenting on that stuff. Also DeMarcus, a big time commenter, always commenting on my stuff. Hey, shout out to my sister. I know you guys see my sister in there, Almighty Queen. She's over there commenting as well. So guys, thank you guys for supporting the channel. Make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, put a notification bell so you know when I go live and make a new video. I'll see you guys next week on the next episode. Peace.